right, functions, we went ahead and moved on in class after we did those graphs. So we also are going to talk about what happens when we want to do f plus g of x. So x is right now just an input, a new input. So everywhere I see an x, I'm going to replace it with an x. So first I want to do f of x, find out what that is, and then add that to g of x. So again, I'm just going to create f of x, and so I get 3 times x plus 4, plus, and that comes from here, plus x squared minus 3. So then we end up with 3x plus 4 plus negative, or x squared minus 3. So the big thing that we want to remember here is that we need to now combine our like terms and then write in standard form. So remember, when we write things in standard form means the highest exponent, the term with the highest exponent, and in this case our highest exponent is x squared. Then we're going to write that first, and then we'll go in descending order. So then this one, and then we need to combine the 4 and the negative 3. So we end up with x squared plus 3x plus 1. Now we're going to do f minus g of x. And it's the same process. So we want to find f of x first, then g of x. Then we're going to, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that circle. Okay, so we've got that. The next thing we want to do is we want to plug in x. So we've got 3x plus 4. Again, minus, there's the minus sign. It comes from right here, and that came from right here. So we want to subtract. The biggest thing that we need to remember is that we need to remember that we have to distribute the negative to there, and we need to distribute it to this. So one thing that students said that will help them remember is remembering that there's a negative 1 in front of that. So we want to do negative 1 times x squared and negative 1 times negative 3, which is going to be positive 3. So again, just like we did before, we want to write this in standard form. Now remember, when we talk about a term, it's everything with its sign. So the first term in this one is going to be negative x squared plus 3x, and then the 4 and the 3 get combined because they are like terms, and we get 7. Alright, so that's how we got that. So now f minus g of x, when we combine all of our like terms and stuff, gives us negative x squared plus 3x plus 7. So now we've inputted that and we've created it. So if we were talking about the domain and the range of these, so we've been talking a lot about domain and range. So f of x is a linear term, right? This right here is a linear term. So that means the domain is going to be negative infinity to infinity. The range is going to be negative infinity to infinity, because it's going forever to the left, forever to the right, forever to from the bottom, and forever to the top. So that is what it's going to be. And if we're looking at x squared minus 3, the domain of that is going to be negative infinity to infinity. Then that means that the domain for this one is going to be the same. It's going to be negative infinity to infinity. So that's just something to think about, that when we're combining we're adding and subtracting and multiplying functions, that is something that we're going to be considering, is what is the domain? Oh, it's going to be the same. So it's something we want to think about. Okay, so f of x, f times g of x. So again, we want to plug in the x. Everywhere we see an x, we're going to replace it. We're using those same functions. So hopefully you wrote down in your notes that f of x is equal to 3x plus 4 and g of x is equal to x squared minus 3. I have noticed that in notes that I've looked at in students that they aren't writing this little part right here. I just want you to write down this at the top and this. They aren't writing those things down, and so when we look back at our notes to figure out what we did, we're not able to figure it out because we can't remember the problem that we were solving. So that's something you want to write down in your notes. Alright, so we're going to do f times g of x, and so we get 3x plus 4 times x squared minus 3. Well, now that gives us a binomial. That gives us a binomial times a binomial. And typically, the way that we will do this, you don't have to do it this way. If you know how to just multiply this one times that, and then this one and this one, if you know how to do that, fine. But I'm going to show you in a box. And again, it doesn't matter where you put what. I had a student ask me, they said they put the 3x plus 4 right here and then the x squared minus 3. It doesn't matter as long as you keep everything together. So one side is one binomial, one side is the other binomial. So we get x squared times 3x, which is 3x cubed. X squared times 4x squared, sorry, 4x, x squared times 4 is 4x squared. 3x times negative 3 is negative 9x. And negative 3 times 4 is a negative 12. So now we need to just put everything in its standard form, and we're going to get 3x cubed plus 4x squared minus 9x minus 12. And that is going to be our final answer, and we're done. So we have found that. If you have any questions, please let me know. The domain and range of f is, the domain of f is negative infinity to infinity. The domain of g is negative infinity to infinity. So in parts A, B, and C that we just did, our domain is going to be the same, which is something that I already talked about, and we have discussed that. If you have any questions, please let me know. Remember, I said domain and range is going to be part of all parts, progressing, meeting, and advanced. Understanding it, make sure you know your parent graphs, make sure you know how to solve for y. So if I give you something that says x, y equals 7, you know how to solve for y so that you know how to figure out what the domain and range is for that. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I hope you all have a great day. See you tomorrow.